A pleasant day, everyone. My name is Catherine Joy Esclamada.
And I am Julia Rose M. Palileo.
For today's discussion, we are going to discuss the second Republic Act number 4850 entitled the Laguna Lake Development Authority Act of 1966 under the Blue Laws. The Laguna Lake Development Authority Act is an authority that focuses on promoting the welfare of the people in the region while safeguarding the lake's ecological integrity.
Let us begin with what is the law all about. RA 4850 is an act creating the Laguna Lake Development Authority, and its purpose is to promote and accelerate the development and balanced growth of the Laguna Lake area, the surrounding provinces, cities, and towns here in the region. It also includes measures for environmental management control, preservation of undue ecological disturbances, deterioration, and pollution. As you can see at the right side of our presentation is the picture of the administrative jurisdiction of the Laguna Lake Development Authority or the LLDA. Laguna Lake is located at the center of the map and it is surrounded by Rizal, Laguna, San Pablo, Manila, Pasay, Quezon, and Caloocan, which are referred to as region. So, why is Laguna Lake significant? First, it is the largest lake in the Philippines with an average depth of 2.5 meters and 20 meters at its deepest point. It has it have 900 square kilometer surface area and an average volume of 2,500,000 cubic meters. Second, it has a number of watersheds that collect water from various rivers that empty into the Laguna Lake. Third, it is a source of fisheries with production of 150,000 and 157 metric tons. It is a source of irrigation of water, industrial cooling water, hydroelectric power generation, transport route, and source of domestic water supply. Lastly, inhabitants around Laguna Lake area dump their solid and liquid waste into either the Laguna de Bay and its tributaries. Whenever Laguna Lake or lake is used in this act, the same shall refer to Laguna de Bay, which is that area covered by the lake water when it is at the average annual maximum lake level of elevation 12.5 meters as referred to a datum 10 meters below mean lower low water or MLLW. Lands located at or below such elevation are public lands which form part of the bed of said lake. So, how does this law provide? Under Section 4 of this law is the special powers and functions of the LLDA. First is to make a comprehensive survey of the physical and natural resources and potentialities of the Laguna Lake region, particularly its social and economic conditions, hydrologic characteristics, power potential scenic and tourist spots, regional problems, and to draft a comprehensive and detailed plan designed to conserve and utilize optimally the resources within the region, particularly Laguna de Bay, to promote the region's rapid social and economic development and upon approval by the National Economic and Development Authority or NEDA. Second is to provide management and technical assistance to prospective and existing investors in the region. Next is to make recommendation to the proper agencies on the peso or dollar financing, technical support, physical assistance, and generally the level of priority to be accorded agricultural, industrial, and commercial projects, soliciting or requiring direct help from or through the government of any of its instrumentalities. Next is to pass upon and approve or disapprove all plans, programs, and projects proposed by local government offices or agencies within the or enterprises where such plans, programs, and projects are related to those of the authority for the development of the region as envisioned in this Act, to issue the necessary clearance for all approved proposed plans, programs, and projects within 30 days from submission thereof, unless the proposal are not in consonance with those of the authority, or that those will contribute the unmanageable pollution of the Laguna Lake waters or will bring about the ecological imbalance of the region. Upon submission of application form and necessary requirements for plans and projects within the lake, the LLDA will evaluate the application form and requirements and conduct inspection. If the application is approved, the LLDA will recommend approval of LLDA clearance or LC and proceed to next step. If disapproved, the LLDA will prepare notice of denial. So, as I've mentioned, LLDA clearance or LC, it is a one-time clearance required by the LLDA. The LLDA for any development plans, programs, and projects that are located within the Laguna de Bay region, either new or existing projects. Such projects includes industrial establishments, infrastructure projects, agro-industrial establishments such as piggery, poultry farm, duck and cattle farm, housing and development such as subdivisions, townhouses, condo, hotel or motel, institutions such as school, hospital, memorial park or cemetery, wet and dry market, supermarket, and restaurant. Also, quarrying or resource extractive industries, industrial subdivision, theme parks, malls or golf courses, land transport terminals or warehouse. So there are three kinds of LLDA clearance or LC. These are LLDA clearance exemption, expansion, and amendment. Next, power and function of LLDA is to institute necessary legal proceeding against any person who shall commence to implement or continue implementation of any project, plan, or program within the Laguna de Bay region without previous clearance from the authority. Next is to engage in agriculture, industry, commerce, or other activities within the region which may be necessary or directly contributory to the socio-economic development of the region, and whether by itself or in cooperation with private persons or entities, to organize, finance, invest in subsidiary corporations. Next is to plan, program finance, and undertake infrastructure projects such as river, flood, and tidal control works, wastewater and sewerage works, water supply, roads, port works, irrigation, housing, and related works, when so required within the context of its development plans and programs including the readjustment, relocation, or settlement by population within the region as may be deemed necessary and beneficial by the authority. Next is to make an annual report to the stockholders regarding the operation of the authority, more particularly a statement of its financial conditions, activities undertaken, progress of projects, and programs. Next is to lend or facilitate the extension of financial assistance and act as surety or guarantor to worthwhile agricultural, industrial, and commercial enterprises. Next is to reclaim or cause to the reclaimed portions of the lake or undertake reclamation projects and or acquire such bodies of land from the lake which may be necessary to accomplish the aims and purposes of the authority subject to the approval of the NETA board, provided that the land so reclaimed shall be the property of the authority and title thereto shall be vested in the authority, provided further that the resulting lakeshore area shall continue to be owned by the national government. Next is to engage in fish production and other aquaculture projects in Laguna de Bay and other bodies of water within its jurisdiction, and to conduct studies and make experiments whenever necessary with the collaboration and assistance of the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources with the end in view of improving present techniques and practice.
In terms of in in terms of engaging fish production, Laguna de Bay is a freshwater lake. Therefore, there are freshwater species that can be found in Laguna de Bay, such as the tilapia, bangus, and catfish. The Laguna de Bay plays a significant role in supporting the local fisheries and providing livelihoods for the communities around its shores. To issue new permit for the use of the lake waters for any projects or activities in or affecting the said lake, including navigation, construction, and operation of fish pens, fish enclosures, fish corrals, and the like, and to impose necessary safeguards for lake quality control and management to collect necessary fees or for said activities and projects. Now, the LLDA also issue a permit called the discharge permit. It is a legal authorization granted by the LLDA to discharge liquid waste of specified volume into the lake that eventually drains in the Laguna de Bay or the bay for a specific period of time.
Another power and function of LLDA is to require the cities and municipalities embraced within the region to pass appropriate zoning ordinances and other regulatory measures necessary to carry out the objectives of the authority and enforce the same with the assistance of the authority. Next is the provision of existing laws to the contrary notwithstanding, to exercise water rights over public waters within the Laguna de Bay region whenever necessary to carry out the authority's project. Next is to act in coordination with existing government agencies in establishing water quality standards for industrial, agricultural, and municipal waste discharges into the lake and to cooperate with said existing agencies of the Government of the Philippines in enforcing such standards, or to separately pursue enforcement and penalty actions as provided for in Section 4 D. Appropriate water quality standards to be enforced. Such conflict shall be resolved through the NEDA board. To develop water supply from ground and lake water resources for municipal, agricultural, and industrial usage in coordination with the National Water Resources Council created by PD number 424 dated March 28, 1974, and to enter into agreements with municipalities, governmental agencies and corporations, and the private sectors to supply, distribute, and market such water. Lastly, is to undertake studies on the improvement and maintenance of the desirable take water quality of Laguna de Bay and prepare a water quality management program on a continuing basis, subject to the approval of the NEDA, which the authority shall carry out with the assistance and support of all national and local government units involved in water quality management.
Now, for the last part of our discussion about the punishable acts under this law, under the LLDA, first, we have under the section 31, 31-A of this Act, Penal and Civil Liability Clause. Thank you. The offender can be any person, natural or juridical. When we say natural, um, these are the natural persons. For example, uh, the people living in surrounding of the Laguna de Bay. And when it comes to juridical persons, these are the entities, corporations, or organizations. The acts or mission, violation of any of the provision of this act or any rules or regulation promulgated by the authority. From that, the penalty will be imprisonment of not exceeding 3 years or a fine not exceeding 5,000 pesos or both at the discretion of the court. Next.
More closure orders are being issued against violators of environmental laws. The latest batch of airing establishments that have to shut down operations includes 2 fast food restaurants found to be contributing to the pollution at Manila Bay. Clazel Pardilia has more of this report.
We are doing our best naman po to comply talaga dun sa
Formalize nyo na lang po, ma'am.
Max's restaurant manager in Arosa, Manila almost pleaded to the authorities of Laguna Lake Development Authority or LLDA. Despite their ongoing operation, LLDA issued a cease and desist order or CDO because of the establishment's environmental law violations, meaning all the water facilities like faucet, sink, and other water pipes of the establishment will be sealed to prevent them from excreting cruddy or untreated water into Manila Bay. This is what made Max's manager dejected.
Makakahamper din yun sa operation. Nakakagulat lang din agad-agad.
LLDA stressed its mandate to enforce environmental laws cannot be stopped by any reasons.
We could not depend on the other party lang na, yun nga, kung may kumakain or kung ano pa po service nila. Especially ay may CDO ito.
LLDA covered the water facilities of Max's restaurant. The establishment was temporarily closed, promising that they will adhere to the environmental laws. Meanwhile, the agency also visited the branch of Jollibee in Pasay City to enforce a CDO. The food chain's wastewater failed the agency's standard.
Mataas yung kanilang fecal coliform na isa sa nagko-contribute ng fecal coliform level doon sa Manila Bay.
However, Jollibee voluntarily closed the establishment, preventing LLDA from sealing their water facility. Yet, Jollibee promised that they will temporarily stop their operation while improving their sewage treatment plant. 3 more establishments were given CDO by the LLDA today. Also, 3 have ex parte order and 12 got notices of violation. According to LLDA, most of the violators are food chains because of the large volume of their food wastes.
Yung mga food industry, quick service restaurant rather, ay nahihirapang mag-comply sa standard na naka-impose sa DNR, and there is a pending appeal for them to have an effluent standard specific for quick service restaurant.
Now, the news report shows some of the violations under the LLDA. I have noticed that those violations usually refers to pollution, non-compliance with environmental standards, and violation of water quality standard. Now, under the resolution number 110 series of 1999, which is amending the administrative fine for violation of LLDA rules on the reclamation or landfill of any portion of the Laguna de Bay and its shoreland. Next. First, when we talk about administrative fine, these are administrative punishment implemented by the Laguna Lake Development Authority as a monetary penalty for violating the environmental standards or failing to follow the LLDA's policies. When people, businesses, or entities fail to follow those established rules and regulations of the LLDA, the authority will impose administrative fines as a form of penalty. Also, administrative fines are intended to encourage compliance with environmental laws and regulations, and also an option for preventing those violations and addressing the encouragement for the people about the creation of the act. The fines are frequently computed based on the severity of the violation and may be specified in the applicable environmental laws or under the LLDA rules. Now, for the first violation under this resolution, we have the offender, any person, natural or juridical, and the acts or omission can be the reclamation or any projects of activities in the lake that will contribute to the pollution of Laguna de Bay, bring about the ecological imbalance of the region or diminish the total surface area of the lake. The pollution of Laguna de Bay, uh, it will implies to discharging pollutants such as the domestic or industrial wastewater, and without proper permit, uh, the penalty would be an administrative fine of 5,000 plus the 10% of the zonal value per square meter of the land area shall be imposed. Now, the qualifier here is any reclaimed area in the Laguna de Bay and its shoreland, whether done with LLDA clearance or not, shall remain the property of our national government through LLDA Resolution 110 of 1999. Next slide. For the second violation, we have here, well, for all the violation stated in this resolution, the offender can be any person, natural or juridical. Magkakaiba na lang sa acts or omissions and penalty. For this second violation, the act or omission is operating emission sources installation without a permit to operate, or the ESI, discharging wastewater without a discharge permit. If that happens, the penalty will be 5,000 pesos per source per year. Next po. For the third violation, the acts or omission is constructing or operating a fish pen in excess of the allowable or allocated area. And the penalty can be 5,000 pesos per excess hectare or a fraction thereof. Note with an order for demolition of the excess area. And this violation, it is simply means the unauthorized using of the allowable or allocated area of on the Laguna de Bay. Next, please. Another violation that implies on the unauthorized land use. The acts or omission is construction or repair of aquaculture structure without an approved LLDA repair clearance. Without clearance, the penalty will be 5,000 pesos per hectare. Next, please. For the next violation is the non-observance of the required 40-meter distance between aquaculture structures that can have a penalty of 5,000 pesos per hectare also. It is a violation of zoning regulation under the LLDA. Next slide po. For the sixth violation, Still, we have any person, natural or juridical, and the acts or omission will be unauthorized construction of aquaculture structures outside the area allocated or the area approved by the LLDA. And the penalty would be 5,000 per hectare per year. Note that there is always an order for demolition for that. This this violation implies on the illegal aquaculture practices. Next slide. For the seventh violation, we have here the use or repair clearance, use of repair clearance or stocking clearance belonging to another person registered with LLDA that can have a penalty of 5,000 pesos per hectare. This violation implies to unauthorized use of someone else's permit. They are using a permit that belong to another person or another entity or corporation. Next slide. For this violation, we have the acts that dredging or quarrying of materials from any portion of the Laguna de Bay and its shore island that can have a penalty of 5,000 per day of its operation. Next slide po. For this violation, still we have any person, natural or juridical, the acts can be the non-compliance with permit conditions that can have a penalty of 5,000 pesos per condition violated. This violation implies on violation for the non-compliance with environmental standards. I have from the previous slide po, pwede po pabalik. Yung sa quarrying, yan. On this violation, in dredging or quarrying of materials, the violation implies on the violation of about the water quality standard ang tinutukoy ko. Next po. And for this last violation, the offender is any person, natural or juridical. The acts is refusal of entry of bona fide LLDA inspectors that can have a penalty of 5,000 pesos per inspection. Note, it always with the filing of appropriate action in court. Kapag may mga inspectors from the LLDA and such entities or corporation ay mag-refuse for inspection, ito po ang magiging penalty and violation. Next slide. Thank you guys for listening. Again, I am Catherine Joy Esclamada.
And I am Julia Rose M. Palileo.
And we are the group that discussed the Republic Act 4850, Laguna Lake Development Authority. Thank you guys and thank you for staying with us till the end.